Welcome to this explainer. Today, we've got something really cool to dive into. We're unpacking a fascinating source that completely flips the script on anatomy. Instead of, some dry, clinical, medical textbook, this material frames the anatomy of your spine in a totally unique way. It's written as a personal, heartfelt letter directly to you, from your very own incredibly hardworking spine. It's literally the story of an organ, told in its own words. So just imagine for a second your spine actually pleading with you for a little bit of understanding. It says, if I am perfectly straight, I cannot survive the shocks of your life. Wow, right? Through this letter, it desperately wants you to understand its brilliant, flexible design. Because honestly, that design is the absolute only reason it can withstand the daily punishments we put it through. We've got a packed agenda today. First, we'll meet your marvelous spine and look at its blueprint. Then, uncover its hidden shock-absorbing system. After that, we'll get into the actual truth about slipped discs, call out the everyday enemies destroying your back, and finally, wrap up with the ultimate spinal care guide. Let's get into it. Section 1, Meet Your Marvelous Spine. Let's jump right into the blueprint of this natural masterpiece. What's really fascinating here is how your spine perfectly delegates its massive workload across all these specialized departments. Up at the very top, you've got the cervical region. These are 7 light, highly flexible vertebrae holding up your surprisingly heavy head, and they're engineered to let you twist exactly 180 degrees to look over your shoulders. Pretty neat, right? Just below that is the thoracic region with 12 vertebrae. Now, these guys are attached directly to your ribs, so they're much more rigid. They don't move around much, which means they rarely cause you any trouble. But then we hit the heavy lifters, the 5 thick, super dense lumbar vertebrae. And finally, the sacrum, which is made of 5 completely fused bones that securely anchor this whole towering structure right at the base of your pelvis. But the absolute crucial point is right here, the number 5. Listen, if you have ever dealt with lower back pain, this is exactly why. The heaviest, most intense burden of your entire body falls squarely on those 5 lumbar vertebrae at the bottom, especially the 4th and 5th ones. Because they bear so much of your body's weight and take the brunt of the mechanical stress every single time you bend, lift, or twist, that highly compressed area becomes the central hub for the vast majority of all your back pain. Moving on to Section 2, the shock-absorbing system. To really grasp how your spine survives your everyday movements, we need to look at how it actually developed its brilliant shape in the first place. In this letter, your spine points out a phenomenal fact that most of us just don't know. You weren't actually born with that famous shock-absorbing S-curve. It's true. When you were a newborn infant, your spine was practically a straight line. As you slowly learned to lift your wobbly head, your cervical curve formed to support it. Then, later, when you started crawling around on your hands and knees, gravity pulled on your midsection, and that is when the thoracic and lumbar curves developed, finally creating that signature S-shape. This natural, sequential engineering is what exponentially multiplied your back's ability to handle impact. It literally turned your spine into a dynamic spring. But, curves alone just aren't enough. To prevent severe, excruciating bone-on-bone friction, your spine relies on specialized discs sitting between each and every vertebra. Think of them like miniature shock absorbers. The outer layer is made of this tough, flexible cartilage, and here's a wild detail from the source. It's the exact same type of cartilage that forms your outer ear. Seriously, give your ear a tug right now. That tough, flexible material is what's protecting your spine. And inside that tough shell is a soft, jelly-like core. Together, this combo of a tough casing and soft jelly perfectly cushions every single step, jump, and bound you take. Okay, Section 3, the truth about slipped discs. Now, this is a highly misunderstood and, frankly, terrifying topic for a lot of people. We hear it all the time, right? Someone complaining that they slipped a disc. But what is actually going on in there? Well, according to the source material, a true structural slipped or completely shattered disc is actually quite rare. It usually takes an immense external force to make that happen, like a severe fall from a huge height or a major high-impact car crash. In extreme cases like that, the lowest discs take the most damage, and it usually requires major orthopedic surgery to go in and clear out the shattered bone and cartilage fragments. It's a massive deal. What's far more common, however, is a torn disc. When that tough, ear-like outer cartilage tears, the inner jelly leaks out, emptying the disc's cushion. Now here is the real plot twist, where your body does something amazing but incredibly painful. Your nervous system detects this severe structural danger and immediately triggers your back muscles to aggressively spasm and tense up. It effectively paralyzes you, forcing you to bend forward. So it's not the broken disc making you bend, it's actually your own nervous system purposefully locking you in a hunched position to physically stop you from moving and causing permanent nerve damage. But if that leaked jelly-like material happens to press against your main nerve pathways, well, things escalate quickly. It triggers a condition known as sciatica, or echinacea in the original text. If you've had it, you know it. It's this severe, fiery, shooting pain that travels all the way down the main artery and nerve of your leg, sometimes sending brutal, relentless shockwaves right down into your big toe. Which brings us to Section 4, Everyday Enemies of Your Back. Because even if you manage to avoid car crashes, there is a very good chance you're torturing your spine right now with completely normal, everyday habits. Let's take a look at the number 1400. Your spine doesn't just float in empty space. It is tightly supported by a highly intricate, dynamic web of 400 muscles and 1,000 ligaments. Now, as you cross the age of 45 or 50, you naturally start losing some of that muscle mass and elasticity. Because of this natural weakening, seemingly healthy activities, like sports that aggressively twist your stomach, say golf, can suddenly cause massive spinal strain. Your aging abdominal muscles become too weak to fully support the twisting motion, so your delicate back ends up taking all the punishment. And honestly, our daily choices often act as direct, ongoing punishments. Take high heels, for instance. They completely alter your natural alignment and cause severe structural pain by forcing your lower back to arch unnaturally. Then there's pregnancy, which naturally places a drastic, heavy burden right on that vulnerable lumbar region we talked about earlier. And get this, even when you're resting, you might be doing damage. Curling your knees tight into your stomach while sleeping. That actually strains your discs and muscles all night long, keeping them tense when they really should be recovering. But perhaps the absolute most surprising enemy is what we can call the comfort trap. You know those incredibly cushy chairs, those soft, delicate, plush sofas you just love to sink deep into at the end of a long day? Well, shockingly, they are plunging your spine into an absolute state of emergency. While your mind feels beautifully relaxed, your musculoskeletal system is actually fighting a frantic, exhausting battle just to maintain its natural alignment, all without any firm support from the furniture beneath you. Crazy, right? All right, Section 5, the Ultimate Spinal Care Guide. Let's look at the specific, actionable advice from the source on how to actually heal and protect your back. This is the part of the letter where your spine is practically begging you to change your daily habits. To relieve the pressure, it's asking you to ditch the deep foam and sleep on a firm cotton mattress, or maybe even a mat directly on the floor. Swap out the plush sofa for a hard plastic or wooden chair. Sit straight, don't slump over your desk. Interestingly, the source also suggests crossing and uncrossing your legs periodically while you sit. This constantly shifts your body weight and gives different sets of spinal muscles a much-needed rest. And top it all off with light daily exercise to keep that web of 1,400 muscles and ligaments strong. And here is a massive cautionary warning for those over 50. Post-50, your bone calcium drops significantly, which means your bones are simply weaker and more brittle. The source specifically warns against sudden, heavy exertion. Something as trivial as getting frustrated and forcefully yanking open a painted-shut window can actually result in devastating, long-term back injuries at this age. So, take it easy. We also have a critical, absolutely non-negotiable safety rule regarding severe spinal trauma. If you ever encounter someone who has suffered a severe back or neck injury, maybe from a bad fall or an accident, never, ever try to lift them by placing your hand under their neck. This simple, well-intentioned mistake can sever delicate nerves in the cervical region and cause immediate, permanent paralysis. Finally, the source highlights a truly fascinating, holistic connection. Mental tension directly causes physical tension. When you're stressed out, worried, or anxious, your back muscles physically tighten up in a primal defense mechanism, and that leads to chronic pain. The text advises that releasing those mental burdens, whether through prayer, deep meditation, or simply talking out your problems with a friend, actively and effectively reduces the physical muscle strain that causes those terrible backaches. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to do a quick posture check. Take a look at yourself right now. Are you slumping over a desk? Are you slouched deep into a soft sofa? Your spine wrote you this letter because it has been brilliantly engineered to carry you through your entire life, but it desperately needs your help to do its job. So what do you say? Isn't it time you started treating your lifelong, hardworking partner with just a little more respect?